Welcome to AP Macroeconomics Review by Melissa Kendall. This slide set is Unit 1, which is Basic Economic Concepts, and it follows through the AP Macroeconomics syllabus. This slide set covers the 6 topics that are in Unit 1: scarcity, the PPC and opportunity costs, comparative advantage, supply and demand, and market equilibrium. Feel free to use this set as you would like. You can skip ahead to the sections that you just need review on, or you can watch the entire slide set. Some slides will have voiceover when it comes to needing to explain some of the concepts in detail, and some of them won't. Okay, enjoy. Thank you. So every country has to answer the questions of what and how to produce. How are we going to make things? What are we going to make with our limited resources? Again, the term resources you will see in multiple ways. You'll see it as inputs, you'll see it as factors of production, you'll see it as resources. They mean the same thing. For the purposes of this course, there are 4 resources: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Land are all the natural resources that we have available to us. Labor are all the workers. Capital are the tools and machinery that are used to make goods and services. And entrepreneurship is referring to the person who takes all the other factors of production and puts together and creates a good or service to offer for sale. The PPC, or production possibilities curve, is the model that we use to show all the combinations of 2 goods that can be produced in an economy given its fixed resources. The PPC is used to show the concept of opportunity cost, which is that which we give up that was our next best alternative. And on the PPC, we will also use it to show productive efficiency. Productive efficiency means producing the maximum amount of output from the available resources. Allocative efficiency is indeterminate just by looking at a PPC, because allocative efficiency is the optimal distribution of goods. It's when the society or the economy is getting the goods they want in the combinations that the society wants. And we can't tell that just by looking at the PPC. We have to be told what that combination of goods is. This PPC is illustrating the concept of constant opportunity cost. This means that as we make more and more and more of one good, we're giving up the same amount of the other good. So the opportunity cost is constant. This is due to the idea that the resources that are needed for both goods are easily interchangeable. So for example, in this diagram, we have cookies and donuts. The flour, sugar, eggs, etc., the resources needed to make cookies and donuts are easily interchangeable, and the labor would have to be retrained a little bit, but not like a massive amount of labor retraining, and therefore the opportunity costs are constant. This PPC is showing the law of increasing opportunity costs, which states that as more of one good are being produced, you're giving up more and more and more of the other goods. So as you can see on this diagram, as you're moving towards producing cell phones from making all donuts, at first you're making 20 donuts. But if we want to move to point B, where we're making 19 donuts and 1 cell phone, we're giving up 1 donut. But as we move to point C, we are then making 2 cell phones, but we have given up 4 donuts in order to make those 2 cell phones. And at point D, you're making another cell phone, so 1 more cell phone, but you're giving up 5 more donuts. So as you're moving more towards making cell phones, you're giving up more and more donuts, which shows the law of increasing opportunity costs. The PPC has several important points that you need to understand. First of all, any point along the curve, such as A, B, C, D, or E, are productively efficient points, meaning all resources are being used in this economy efficiently. Point X, if this country is to produce at point X, This means that inside the curve, there are idle factors of production, or not all resources are being employed. Therefore, the country would not want to produce at point X. Point Z is outside of the PPC. This country does not have enough resources to produce at point Z. Therefore, point Z is unattainable. This PPC is showing when the country is able to attain more resources that are applied for making donuts. However, they did not attain more resources for the cell phones. Therefore, the growth is occurring only for the donuts due to the resources that have been attained. This PPC is illustrating that two countries, country A and country B, can both either produce donuts, or they can produce cell phones, or they can each make a combination of donuts and cell phones. Country A has the absolute advantage in producing donuts because country A can make more donuts than country B with the resources that it has. Country B has the absolute advantage in producing cell phones because it can make more cell phones given the resources. Therefore, in this situation, this one's easy. Country A should produce donuts, country B should produce cell phones, and they should trade. This PPC shows two countries, country X and country Y. Country X and country Y can produce corn, or they can produce machinery, or they can produce a combination of corn and machinery. Now, looking at this PPC, you can see that country Y has the absolute advantage in both corn and machinery. So, should they trade? Should they specialize in producing a good just because country Y has the absolute advantage in both? Will they gain from trade? So in order to figure that out, we have to calculate the comparative advantage by looking at the country with the lowest opportunity cost and deciding which country should make which good, and if they do and specialize, will they gain from trade? When calculating the comparative advantage, it is important that you notice if you are given the resources needed to produce a good, which would be calculated using the input method, or are you given the quantity of goods that countries can produce, in which case you would use the output method of calculating comparative advantage. Both methods are calculated differently, so be careful that you're noticing whether you need to use the input method or the output method. To find the comparative advantage, the first thing you're going to do is calculate the opportunity cost for each country of producing one good in terms of the other. So for country A, they can make 12 bushels, or they can make 3 TVs. So what you want to do is you want to find out what is the opportunity cost of making one TV. So you're going to divide 12 by 3, and you're going to say the opportunity cost to produce one TV is 4 bushels. Now the opportunity cost to produce 1 bushel of cotton is 3 TVs divided by 12 bushels. Therefore, 1 bushel of cotton has an opportunity cost of 1/4 of a TV. Now we need to find out the opportunity cost for country B. So country B can produce 4 bushels of cotton or 2 TVs. Therefore, the opportunity cost to produce 1 TV is 2 bushels of cotton. The opportunity cost for country B to produce 1 bushel of cotton is 1/2 of a TV. So you take 2 TVs and you divide it by the 4 bushels, and that's how you get your half a TV. Now that you've calculated the opportunity cost for each country, for each good, you're going to figure out who has the comparative advantage. The comparative advantage is the country that has the lowest opportunity cost. I put the opportunity costs for each country and the goods on this chart, And as you can see, for TVs, country B has the lowest opportunity cost because they can produce 2 bushels of cotton, whereas country A can produce 4 bushels of cotton. And the lowest opportunity cost for the cotton is country A. So, therefore, country B should produce TVs and country A should produce cotton. Marginal benefit is the benefit that consumers receive when they purchase and consume one more unit of a good. The demand curve, which is also the marginal benefit, is downward sloping because as consumers consume more and more and more of a unit of a good, the benefit that they receive is decreasing. Therefore, producers have to decrease the price in order to incentivize consumers to purchase more of the good. This is a really important point. One of the biggest ways that students lose points on the AP macro exam is that they don't understand the difference between a change in demand and a change in quantity demanded. Or even if students do understand the difference, they use the terminology incorrectly and will say there's been a change in demand when it's a change in quantity demanded, or vice versa. Change in quantity demanded has one factor that makes that happen, which is a change in the price. When there's a change in demand, there are a bunch of non-price determinants which you need to know. So just make sure that you understand that change in quantity demanded is movement along the demand curve due to a change in the price. Change in demand is a shift of the demand curve either to the right or to the left due to non-price determinants. This is a really important point. One of the biggest ways that students lose points on the AP macro exam is that they don't understand the difference between a change in demand and a change in quantity demanded. Or even if students do understand the difference, they use the terminology incorrectly and will say there's been a change in demand when it's a change in quantity demanded, or vice versa. Change in quantity demanded has one factor that makes that happen, which is a change in the price. When there's a change in demand, there are a bunch of non-price determinants which you need to know. So just make sure that you understand that change in quantity demanded is movement along the demand curve due to a change in the price. Change in demand is a shift of the demand curve either to the right or to the left due to non-price determinants. On the AP macro exam, you're going to be given situations where you will have to determine if the supply or the demand is shifting, and if so, what is the market outcome? The market outcome is what happened to the P, what happened to the Q. So for example, when there's an increase in the demand for a good, the price will increase and the quantity will increase, and you need to make sure to state that clearly. On the AP macro exam, you're going to be given situations where you will have to determine if the supply or the demand is shifting, and if so, what is the market outcome? The market outcome is what happened to the P, what happened to the Q. So, for example, when there's an increase in the demand for a good, the price will increase and the quantity will increase, and you need to make sure to state that clearly.